Swing us to health and fitness here.
That's the
You gotta get her early, get it back where it's.
You guys saved this just for us.
There's one over here.
There you go. I can see better.
Great, when I turn on the system, the volume will pass these out now. Yeah, that way.
Oh, I see. Yeah, good. Good. You just remembered your settings. Why not? Ho, 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 ho.
I got two. Thank you.
When he passes stuff out.
How you feeling, Joe?
You're good.
I would like to make it a little more three-dimensional. Got taken care of that.
Okay. Medical marijuana.
So 6:59. Now we have some.
Turn your mic. Turn your mic.
Okay. All right. Pretty good job.
Being that it's 7 o'clock, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Highway Hills Club Board of Trustees for June 18, 2019. I understand there's going to be a motion to amend the agenda. Tom, would you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move the health and wellness update up to committee business and report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I guess Scott, second. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then we now have a motion to adopt the amended agenda. Would somebody like to make that motion? I'll make that motion. Dave Miller makes the motion. Second, please. Dwayne, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, let's go forward. The President's report. A couple things that I think are really important to us. The summer has started in full swing. We have events going on all over the place. The committees, the social committee, the activities for youth. They're going to be doing the upcoming Dam Jam, which is going to be back on the dam. We have the folks in the pool committee are doing projects. The adopt-in area, the front gate looks good. There's just a tremendous, and I think we all need to, when you see people, thank them for it, because they are volunteers like we are, and they're just doing this out of the goodness and their share of responsibility for the community. So please do that. I think we all owe a debt of gratitude and appreciation for them. Similarly, our staff is working hard with all the rain and problems we've had to keep our roads passed. I heard, were our people out last night at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning? Because I could hear trucks and stuff that were out working in the middle of the night. I didn't know if it was them.
security glove, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, somebody would cross the lake from me was backing up with a piece of equipment, kept hearing beep, beep, beep.
They were clearing trees this morning when I was
Yeah,
on
I figured that might be exactly what was happening. But anyway, so again, gratitude to them. The other thing that we all have to keep in mind to keep our eye on the goal is that in August we will be voting on the assessment increase. We'll talk about that again a little bit later. But I do want to, I've been mentioning this time after time, that, how important that is to us and to the infrastructure and to the ambiance and the quality of our life here in the hills. So Jim's going to talk a little bit about that, about what the efforts are going to be to get the information out and to talk to people a little bit later. Several of us will share that. But nevertheless, I do want everybody, if you have a chance to explain it, come to the meetings. There's going to be written information. There'll be a website put up. All these things, we're going to really go after this as strongly as we can, because this is really important. I mean, last year we came so close. This year, I think we're gonna redouble our efforts and try to make sure that everybody understands how important it is and how it will make their lives better. With that, I'll bring it to a close. Mr. Lapp, do we have any correspondence tonight?
We do not.
We have no correspondence tonight. We have the minutes before us.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the minutes.
Second by Greg. Any questions of Eric of the minutes? You've seen them, we all had a chance to look at them. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Matthews.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report showing that as of May 31st, 2019, there was $125,032.68 in the Benton County Bank.
Any questions of Tom? We'll have a chance to see that. Seeing no questions, may I have a second for that motion? Dennis Alvery seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our management committee report, Mr. Burke.
Good evening. Let me move this closer, I want to make sure everybody can hear me.
Good idea.
Wow, who was that? I don't know.
I heard his voice.
I didn't know that mic worked. All right, moving right along. Since the meeting's moving quickly, I'll try to get through it. Lodge and clubhouse updates. Financials, lodge expenses were down almost $2,600 in May from last year. Unfortunately, lodge sales were still down about $4,700 from last year, which is getting closer to last year than we had been the months before. Seems to be turning the corner. Highlights would be ladies' night again. The last couple ladies' nights, I think they've had around 70 people up here. That's great. Weekends and the Mother's Day brunch. The lodge loss for May was almost $6,200, which is a little higher than last year. Clubhouse sales were down $847, and expenses were up over $3,100 compared to last year. Clubhouse profit was over $1,765, which is down about $4,000 from last year. On the subject of lodge and clubhouse, there's an hours update. We've changed the hours. Listening to some of the members and also looking at the numbers and the sales on certain days, the decision was made. The lodge, I'll just read it. The lodge is excited to announce that starting June 17th, we will have new hours. We will be offering lunch all weekend and a breakfast buffet Saturday and Sunday. Come grab some takeout for the pool. We even add a few special items just for the lunch menu. New hours are Thursday are the same as they were. Dinners 5 to 9, bars 5 to 10. Friday, they open at noon. Noon to 4 p.m. will be lunch. Dinner will be from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. The bar will be open from noon until 11 p.m. Saturday, the breakfast buffet starting at 9 a.m. till 2. Lunch from 12 to 4. Dinner from 4 to 10. Bar from 9 a.m. to 11. Sunday, breakfast buffet from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lunch from 12 to 4. Bar will be open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. On Sundays, the only thing we can serve is the Rush Creek Lager and the Pale Ale only from the upstairs. They'll be closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The clubhouse has staffed up. They haven't added staff yet. They're attempting to. to attend additional services during the dinner hour for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And that's the update on the lodge. Staffing, lodge and clubhouse are both advertising for a wait and cook staff, and not getting any. They put it on Facebook, they put it on Job and Family Services or whatever in both counties, and they're not getting any responses. Security is full on full-time associates, but they're still needing one part-time. Moving right along. As you mentioned, the committee that's similar to the 66 2/3. I don't know what we're going to call it quite yet. It's just the ad hoc committee to get the assessment amendment approved. Has been recruited. Organizational meeting is this Saturday. Actually, it's going to be moved to down here at noon Saturday to get together and put a timeline together of when there's going to be meetings, what's going to go out on the website and in the e-blasts, and also all the other information to get out to the people, and also figure out who's going to chair that committee. I think I sent emails or texts to, I'm going to guess, I think about 16 people, and at least 14 of them have responded that they'll be here. So we got a really good response on that. Another thing is, I'd like to have a motion to approve Steve Cundiff as the new management committee member. Management committee unanimously approves and nominates Steve for this position.
So moved.
Second.
Before we have a vote, I'd like to talk about, maybe we talk about this under new business, open forum. But I think we should talk about how we select our management committee members, because it's changed over time. It used to be much more of an open process. There would be requests made in the ECHO. People would then have to submit some kind of bio similar to, or resume similar to the Board of Trustee candidates. And I guess my last point on the topic is, I know that we are endeavoring to gain women on the management committee, and I think we should continue to try to do that, because we need to reflect the demographics of Hideaway Hills, I think. So I am not stating in opposition to Steve. I am suggesting that we look at different and new ways to solicit and approve, because ultimately it does have to come to the board, and the board is responsible for the management committee and their decisions. So I think that if we're more active in the community, we're more transparent, and we seek and solicit others, we might find some interesting candidates. Not that Steve isn't. I'm not saying that. But I'm suggesting we look at our process.
Do we have anything in the past that was a guideline that we could follow?
You know, way back when, I've been here since '96 full-time, there would be, in the ECHO, a solicitation for candidates or people who would be interested in being on the management committee. And then there would be a vetting process. Now that process, I'm not sure of all the points because I wasn't involved in the board at the time. But I could see that we could have a process that would be more open, that would be able to solicit more interest, and probably move us in maybe a little different direction, or not, maybe the same direction. But the process is one that I think really should be looked at, because I think it has some weaknesses.
Can I suggest that perhaps the board have a couple of people assigned to meet with the management committee and kind of work that out?
I think that would be
Kind of ad hoc?
Sure.
And see what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda and I have talked about this quite a bit. I mean, for the last 7 years before Chaz Crossan and Jim as management committee chair, a couple different times we mentioned it. We did not rigorously put it in the ECHO. I can't remember that we did that. maybe it was word of mouth. I think maybe one of the possibilities is that a statement was made in the president's, the report that there was going to be somebody coming. I think that's fine. My feeling is the more the merrier. I did have, a couple times, had to go out and solicit people to be on the management committee, and I guess in my mind, that was sort of where I thought we were. Jim, I know, did at least interview 3 people this year, so it wasn't, it was not a really targeted search, but at the same time, there's no reason that we wouldn't. If somebody's interested, somebody new, good deal. I think we can accommodate that. It makes perfect sense.
I do too. I think it's more open and inviting. And you may find that you don't get a lot of interest, but I would be disappointed that you didn't. And you may find that there are other people in Hideaway Hills that have interest that you don't know, that we don't know.
Well, and the turnover we've had is stunning.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. We're going to probably be over 50 again this year with new members coming in if we keep up the
Right.
pace that we're currently at. We're open.
I'll volunteer to do it with you if you like.
Dennis, I would love to.
Yes,
Motion on the floor.
I think it's a great idea. I asked Jim when we knew Paul was gonna be dropping off because of terming out, and there was not a mention of any kind of a process from before, so.
Yeah.
But we interviewed 3, and by the way, one of them was a female.
And I applaud that. I really do.
But it would have been nice to have, we think Steve's a great candidate, but it would have been nice to have a bigger pool, so I'm all in.
It just kind of brings us all together, and in the end, it's all about working together.
Oh, absolutely.
I know one thing in the past, the management committee has made their selection. The board does not make the selection.
They've made a recommendation to us.
They make a recommendation to the board. I agree with everything that's been said, but I still think that the management committee should have basically, this is the person that we recommend. If they want to recommend 2, then the board could vote, that's fine, but, because they're the ones that have to work day in and day out with them, which is the way it's been in the past.
I think the caveat to that is, it would be good to see the resumes and the bios from all of the candidates. But I do think that the management committee should make a recommendation to be reviewed by the board. And we can talk about it more.
Indeed. So, discussion is closed. We have a motion on the floor to appoint Steve Cundiff to the management committee for a term of 3 years.
Who made the motion? Jim can't make it.
Dwayne did.
And I seconded it.
And Greg seconded. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome. Steve's not here tonight. He had to be out of town, but I'm sure hopefully he's watching on YouTube.
Well, actually, somebody in the emails that were going around asked, does he work, is he retired? He does still work, and he normally doesn't travel. He's usually available for all meetings, except the one time where it would have been nice to have him sitting here to introduce him to him. He's in Iowa, probably floating around a rowboat the way Iowa is right now.
That's true.
One last thing on my list, and this is just a little bit later in the meeting. I believe there's going to be a motion brought up on weed killers, glyphosates, and the management committee had some conversation about this Tuesday night. We've had conversation with them more than once, and the board member, the trustee is going to bring it up. If he's right, and it is illegal for us to use it on common areas, then obviously the management committee would support that rule that it can't be used, period. If it's not illegal and we need to get somebody certified in the use of it, or can allow it in certain areas, there are a few areas in Hideaway Hills that it would, it's pretty much the only way to maintain the area. The Boneyard, ORV track, and the old baseball diamond parking lot are 3 areas. Now, some areas that I would certainly not want that stuff used is, right now, the Activity for Youth is trying to get rid of the weeds in the playground out front, and I certainly, wouldn't want to use there or any place like that. But as it stands right now, management committee would not want to see it totally outlawed. We certainly want to control, and we don't condone it being used just anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, how do we, I guess we should probably get a hold of the EPA.
He's going to get a hold of the Department of Agriculture.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I have a spray license through the Department of Agriculture, and yeah, it's, sorry.
Another expert.
Way over here.
Dwayne, could you please speak up?
Yes, I will. You can use it in a commercial setting, and people have to be certified to spray it through the Department of Agriculture. You only need one person that has that license, and then other people can work as a trained service person under that license. Now they have to be, there's rules that go along with that. They have to be within an hour of wherever it's spraying of the service person.
So you're gonna train all our service?
What
is your license?
I have, what is it, 6B, it's turf, beds, and, turf grass, beds, and ornamental. Yeah.
Well, we've got two on the staff that have their license. I'm just not positive what those licenses are. It's for the golf course, of course.
Mm-hmm. I imagine it's turf, it's the same, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to check, see exactly what it is.
And beds, and as long as you have those endorsements, you can use it.
Ryan, is that for Bexley Schools that you have that license?
I have a commercial spray, yeah.
There's a local gentleman, I think his name is Levi Miller.
Yep. Levi trained me to do it too. But I'm not trained to spray, I'm only trained with the specific plants.
Well, he's the regional manager for Bach Hollow headquarters, and he's an expert, he's a pesticide expert, especially in terms of water transmission, how all of that works. We might want to think about just talking with him, seeing what he has to say. It sounds like we're really trying to reduce the areas that we're,
Absolutely.
but the waterways around, around the bog, I would think that we'd have to be so far away from the bog in particular, so it wouldn't get into the water of the swamp. I don't know, I'm not an expert.
That is a different, that's an aquatic, yeah, and you have to spray that close to the water on fence lines. It's a different endorsement.
That's a good point, because we worked with Levi's helped this one, and an expert for us before.
I think that would be helpful.
Let's inform ourselves as best we can,
Good.
and then come back and make decisions based upon that.
So with that, Mr. President?
Any reactions yet from people on the hours of the lodge and clubhouses?
A couple that weren't going to be able to leave this meeting and go up and get a pizza.
I'm just meeting every time to get a pizza.
No,
You can help that solution.
actually, I've had a couple people mention that they think it's great that we've gone to longer hours on Saturday and Sunday with breakfast and lunch, and we'll kind of see. Tuesday and Wednesday were, even in the heat of the summer where we had a little bit of business, still were not good nights. And with the additional staff and sooner or later, the additional kitchen space at the clubhouse.
That was a question I was going to ask about the clubhouse kitchen space. How's that coming?
The last time I got an update from Dr. John, they had resubmitted the permit that hadn't been submitted right in the first place. And it's one of those deals, it's almost like an ODNR where when you send something to the ODNR for the dam, they had 45 days and they took all 45 days before they responded.
We're well familiar with that.
Yeah, whatever this one is, they've got 14 days. So last time I talked to him was less than 14 days ago, and he was expecting something to happen here very shortly. And the second they get that permit, then it'll look like, ants on an anthill again down there with hopefully getting stuff done quickly. But
Yeah, again, back to the hours issue, I'm not sure that it's gonna work, but let's give this thing something a try. Because we've had people in the past who wanted us to try different weekend options, and so if people want it, then they need to just show up and enjoy the lodge, and we'll go from there, that's for sure.
Well, on that same note, we have talked to some people about the food services committee, restarting that, and that's something that that group will certainly monitor, is the sales and whether it's working, and make other adjustments, because this isn't etched in concrete, and this isn't, by God, we're doing it until 12/31, come hell or high water. It's, if we get 6 weeks into this and something else, we'd come up with a better idea.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of change.
That's a good point. Any further questions of Jim? Anybody? All right, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Swetnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll go over delinquency totals first of all. In May, regular assessments delinquencies was at 31,566. As of June 17th, they were down to 27,668, which is a good thing. Roads in May was 33.95, and this month they went up $100, 34.95. Dam assessment total right now is $345,666, which includes the amount we have at Popular Bank for that we'll give back at some point, or use it for the final payment.
Yeah, we'll use it for the final payment.
Also, on a sad note, Rick Byron, who probably some of you don't even know, is unable to continue as utility committee chairman. He is, from what I understand, is in a rest home and not doing well at this time. His wife passed away, and I think his wife passed away last spring, and he hasn't been doing well since then. So we'll need to find somebody to replace Rick on that committee. That committee has not been active hardly at all since we worked on the Time Warner transition with the cameras. But he has given other information when I had needed information about South Central Power and that type of thing. He was instrumental in getting the agreement with Time Warner when it switched from Adelphi. So unfortunately, he's not able to continue. So we'll need to look for a new.
Sounds like something we should put in the echo, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll get a notice in there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. How many people are on that committee? I can't remember.
As far as I know, at this point, Rick was the only one.
Okay.
Dave Dryden used to be on that committee, but I think, to my knowledge, is the only two I remember. He was also instrumental in getting the Area 54 ready for sale.
Okay.
Area 54 house ready for sale. He helped us out a lot on that. Matter of fact, he did all the legwork on that. I want to talk a little bit about the neighborhood watch group. I mean, things have come up here recently with the break-ins of maintenance, and we had a couple houses broken into. The neighborhood watch group has 4 members, and unfortunately, they're not a board-approved committee. They didn't want to be for some reason or other. I'm not sure why. I attend their meetings, but they aren't very active. Started out to be fairly active. They would sit at the gates, watch the gates for random times, and drive around at random times. They talk amongst themselves. If there happened to be somebody driving around the hills without a sticker, they'd notify security. But I think we need to get that out there, that we need a little bit more active neighborhood watch group. They meet the second Monday of each month at 6 o'clock here in the great room. And so I'd like to make a note to put that out there, that they can use some more members. And Henry Hunt, who is the chairman of that committee, he's a great guy, a retired police officer. But they need other members on that committee to make things happen a little bit, and I think that's important.
But they're not an official committee?
They're not an official board committee, correct?
Why wouldn't they? Can we have non-official committees and?
Yeah.
And I guess they're like clubs or something, but, we can't put it out in an echo or anything and advertise for something that's not an official committee,
Right.
as far as I understand.
We could make it.
Sure.
Could say we're gonna make it an official.
I would think they would want it to be an official committee. If it's a committee meeting in the great room, it should be an official committee. Well, they should be paying rent or whatever other people do in here.
I agree.
I don't know how you would go about that. I mean,
Well, just like we appointed other committees.
okay,
We never had a pool committee until about 4 or 5 years ago, and then
right.
he came up, we appointed a pool.
Health and wellness.
I guess Ellen Wellness, there you go.
You know, one of the possibilities is to contact them and
Okay.
we can write something up and let them do a little forming, but then go forward with the committee.
Okay. Okay.
Just looking around the table, I'm seeing a lot of people nodding their head, yes.
Great idea.
Well, it's always had, it just hasn't materialized. I mean, they started out full guns, but then they've just sort of dwindled since then. So, I mean, I do what I can to help them. They used to have a Hudson County Sheriff's deputy come in and speak, give them tips, pointers, information, and that's just not happening anymore.
I expect if you put it on Facebook, there'll be lots of people responding to the.
There he is.
Yeah. Okay. As far as the break-ins, I have not got a sheriff's report on this recent break-in. So I don't know a whole lot. I know there has been 2 people arrested. But from what I was told, it was on drug and weapons possession charges. I did not hear anything. I do not know anything official of whether there's any stolen property within that. I don't know anything official on that.
Are these members?
One is a family guest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they recover anything that was taken?
I have not been notified of anything they recovered. From what I understand, they haven't recovered anything of ours that was stolen, which really doesn't tie them to, other than being a family guest, tie them to Highway Hill. So I haven't got that. I haven't got that information yet. It's still an ongoing investigation. They give you very little information when that's going on.
Having worked with them a couple times,
Yeah.
clear.
Hocking County called me here, well, last year they were in and did mosquito testing for West Nile. They did find some positive results. They're back in this year. This year is a little different. They'll put the traps out for 24 hours, come back and get them. They started that 2 weeks ago and should have results sometime this week on the first test. They did discover a lot of mosquito larvae down by just below the principal spillway. As a matter of fact, she called me down there, an intern, her name's Crystal, called me down there because I asked her, I said, well, what does the larva look like? And so she collected a whole little bottle of them, container of them, showed me. And they have a program where they will put out larvicide, which they did that, and I thank them for that. And they said with the wet weather that it should take effect right away. But there's areas down there where there's a few divots from the mowers that's collected water and just stayed right there. Of course, with the rain, it's not going to dry up, but that's where they put the larvicide. So that's good, they're working with us. I'm still trying to get Fairfield County to come out also. They did come out a few times last year, didn't find anything, they were in the North Park area. And so I'm working on that. But they'll let us know how the testing goes. One last thing I want to talk about is we were notified about 3 months ago that Bremen Post Office would probably be discontinuing their bulk mailing. That's how we do our Echo. We take it in there for bulk mailing, and they have discontinued that. All bulk mail now has to go to Lancaster from the whole area. And Ginger Reed stopped in there, talked to them about it and the procedure going forward. She shared that with us on management. Management decided that we would discontinue the bulk mailing of the Echo. It will happen this month, of course, but as of August, they're not going to accept that anymore. And so the decision was we would go to emailing the Echo. It's online. We will still print it and put it in the both post offices, security, the lodge, and the clubhouse. And so with that note, that's all I have, sir. Anybody have any questions?
When's it start? August 1st?
August 1st, yeah. So we may or may not, depending on the timing, we may or may not mail out the August Echo, which is right after July board meeting. Yeah.
Any questions of Randy? Yeah, I think we'll give it a try with the Echo and see how many, our assumption, because I was there at the meeting, was the management committee's assumption is that, and the numbers bear it out, a lot of people are reading it online. So there's a pretty big spike in usage on the website when it first comes up, and there's no reason, like I said, that it can't be attached also to an email. We send it out, so.
And if it's requested, we can still mail it out.
If people want them, that was the other thing. Yeah. And we're going to communicate that to people, right, that is their option if they wish to still have it direct mail. Try to go from there. Alrighty. Any further questions of Randy at all? Seeing none, let's go on to committee business and reports. And as we now have an amended agenda, that means the health and wellness people. You're on board. Please.
Hey guys, Joe Williams, Health and Wellness. This is Julie Evans. It's been a while since we've done an update, so we figured we'd give you guys an update of where we are. We have about 25 members on our committee. Half are full-time, so we get a good help. We have a lot of help. We have a treasurer, Julie, who takes care of all the money and all the hard stuff. That's her. We have two secretaries that do all our documenting and everything. Current funds 8 to 10,000. Not quite sure yet. Could be a little more. 11,000 is what Tom said something.
It's about 8,000 after committed funds. So if the money we have in there, we have some already committed to everything. So
and we still have about 10,800 in amenity funds left from last year that we haven't used yet, which are being used starting this week. I think we're going to move forward in that. We have some fundraisers going. We average about $8,000 a year in fundraisers to keep going, to help us do our, keep construction going on the building. We have a break campaign going on, which we're expected to raise about $20,000 for the break campaign. So we've done little advertising, and I think we've raised about $5,000. Not quite $5,000, but we've done very little advertising. And
we've got a lot of people who have committed. We just need their checkbook.
Yeah.
So we'll be hitting them up. We're going to do a cornhole tournament. We're going to have a big thing out there where we'll be hitting people up. I'm going to bring their checkbook and
and then Lake Road, of course, and all that. So progress on the building. We've got a secure building. Most, but all the demo is done. There's no more demo. We've done demo days. We've had 25 volunteers over 5 demo days, and it's the demo's almost 100% done. I mean, if it's not, it's very little demo left. The roof has been replaced, including purlings, which was something we saw, but they wanted to do it right, so they replaced all the 2x4s. so that was good. The well has been capped, the trees have been removed last week to allow for new work. We have the structural engineer report. We had a structural engineer out last, well, it's been a couple weeks ago. He says thumbs up. He said, minus a few of the 6x6s, you know, we all saw that. Mainly replaced. He said it's a good building, it can be a good fitness center. We have an architect on board, Dave Lee. He's checked with all of his people, he can do it pro bono, and it's you know, it doesn't cost us a thing. So that's good. Next steps, we're going to level the floor, do some new plumbing. The floor will not be reported until the new plumbing's in, complete the well. The biggest thing we have coming up is remove and replace the siding and windows and all new doors. We're taking away one of the front doors, adding a back door, replacing the sliding door. That'll all be more of that, you know, we'll give you guys a drawing of that and before any of that's done. So, and of course color. Inspections coming out, drywall, lighting, security, HVAC, and then, you know, officially open. That was the update. So another thing we want to get is we would like to start merchandising. And we have a logo we would like to get approved. We have a rough draft if you guys want to see it. This is the second thing that we would just like to.
Here you go. Thanks. Coming down.
We'd just like to get this so we can, and we're gonna put awnings back. We'd like to put the awning back, we got the logo on it, or hang a sign out front, you know, when the time's right.
We get some t-shirts or like water bottles or, you know, towels that, you know, fit into kind of a fitness thing that we can sell with the logo on it, so.
Yeah, it's on the left. What's that?
We didn't know how much.
Yeah, so that's about it.
So I don't know what we do to get your approval for
that.
Wait.
I don't know that we have to.
There's nothing in the rules that speak to it. So.
Yeah.
Well, everything's new with the fitness center. We all know we're all writing a new chapter. We just want to.
We don't want to do it.
We don't want to do this.
Appreciate you showing us, but
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we didn't want to do this without anybody.
Okay.
Good call because it does say Highway Hills on it.
What's that?
It's a good call to ask because it does.
Well, yeah, we're writing the work on the fitness center as we go, and we don't know. So, that's all we have.
Yeah. And I do have, if anybody wants, they could pass out, I do have, kind of our 3-year plan. So, you can pass that around, I get extra. But where it just kind of shows you what our startup costs are gonna be. One side kind of tells you, here's where we're at, here's what we still need. And then the 3 years is actually once we get it up and running. So you'll have year 1 through year 3. That's fairly simple because we're gonna have, you know, our sales are gonna come in through either memberships and or fundraisers. And then we've estimated some of the costs that it will take to maintain it, so.
What's your target now in terms of opening?
Well, as I said, we would love to be open by the end of next year. But as you can see on here, I think we need about $78,000 to get there. So, if we get 78,000, we'll have it open as soon as we can. So, if somebody wants to give us 100,000, as I said, we'll name a wall after you. We've already named the building.
Yeah, that was a brick.
So anyway, so if you have anybody who's willing to do that, that would be wonderful.
James, what are you on the permits?
We haven't made permits yet.
Okay.
We haven't had to have any with the hockey county. We checked with, I forget her name now.
Wendy?
Yeah.
And when we talked to Dave Lee, he recommended, he said, what we're doing now, which is getting it, just upgrading the building, by doing the siding, because once we get the siding on and we start inside work, then we need to get the permits in.
He said the shell will not be questioned. Well, you're just protecting your building, protecting from water. So Wendy from the EPA, I talked to the Department of Commerce, nobody's concerned right now. But when we start putting in new electric, new plumbing and all that, that's when the inspections will come, that's when permits will come. Dave Lee's working with that, he's gonna get us a whole list and get that going. And like I said, Dave Lee's pro bono, he's awesome, so.
Thank you.
And he's from OSU, so.
So any suggestions, anything you have, you know how to get a hold of me?
I have one question. When it's open, is the building just gonna be open permanently?
Do you have a key card or an access?
Okay, so anybody who's gonna use it will have an access.
You'll have an access to it. You won't be able to get that access until you go through a video, a training.
And sign a waiver, so.
Yeah, that's.
And they'll ask you for money and stuff.
Dennis, that's still new, we're still working that out, but that's where we've come so far.
But you-
That's where you'll ask for money.
That's what we're asking for money.
We're always asking for money.
Yeah, so there'll be a little like pressure there to say, oh, okay, sure. I like your United Way campaign. There's your recommended.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, let's go through the committee business and reports, please. Mr. Lloyd.
You have to. Nothing from the airport. We're working on the fundraiser, the air show, and then we are going to have a feed the people at the concert in the Cove. But basically, we're just getting that rolling, so there's nothing to report on. The barn committee, I need a motion from someone to accept the date of July 20th from 11 to 1 for the Tony Palooza that was canceled because of the weather.
I'll make the motion.
Greg makes a motion for the Pony Palooza, July
20th from 11 to 1.
Have a second? Second from Dave Miller. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pony Palooza goes. Good deal.
That's all I got.
Alrighty. Mr. Ricky.
Nothing from pool or range.
How's the pool project going over there? Is it?
Like I said, I got nothing.
It hasn't started because of the weather.
I saw a bunch of rock out there, but I don't know if that was something that we moved over there or something the pool committee. I know they're getting rock to put in that area.
They did some mulch too.
Okay. Mr. Martin?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to pay Marge Geyer from the Garden Committee funds $17.60 and to Greg Fatassin $121.29. I guess Marge's is for plants and Greg's is for mower and plumbing parts.
So moved.
Second.
I moved. You said yes.
I made
the motion and Dwayne got it for you. So Dwayne's second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any questions? Opposed? No. All right.
Just to clarify, that was 121.29?
So it was 121.29 and 17.60.
The Lakes Committee had the tadpole fishing contest Saturday. It was really pretty well attended. About 23 children were actually there and had fish. And I think everybody had a good time. We, Tom, owe you an updated committee activity report because I think a lot of the funds that we requested are going to be donated by the committee. So I'll let you know about that.
Thanks.
Once I know more. A reminder that the ORV committee is having a work day on June 29th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Come prepared to work and get a little sun and have a little fun.
Good.
All right. On behalf of the Communications Committee, I'm going to make a motion to take up to $700 from the Communication Committee funds for having the Lancaster Festival String Quartet come to the lodge on Monday, July 22nd at 7:30 p.m. And that's a free event for all members and guests.
Dennis seconds.
That's for Eric.
Well, I don't have to wait so much.
Yeah.
That one passed it, yeah, that one passed. All in favor say, or the second was Greg made, the second was Dennis seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Is it gonna be back inside again this year?
Ginger didn't say, I think so, yeah, I think so, too, especially because it's strings, because otherwise it gives a heck keeping them in.
Will we have any refreshments?
Let me ask a question. What day of the week is that?
It's Monday. Well, tomorrow. Usually, you probably get 20 to 30 people. I'll let people know. I'll tell Ginger.
I'll look into that.
I think it's a good idea.
I'll be there.
It's usually well attended.
If you had it outside, you bring your cooler, but.
Yeah, right.
If it's upstairs, you gotta go to the bar. Yeah, it was, I think, 2 years ago, it was upstairs, because we were threatening with weather, and it was very nice, because it was air conditioned for one thing, because the one year was outside.
You know, I think the festival organizer, the guy that she contacts, has said to keep it inside.
What's that date again, Greg?
July 22, 7:30, Monday night.
Okay.
Anything further? Eric? I have nothing. Tom?
The golf committee had their member guest, last Friday, had 80 golfers and 15 volunteers, and I wasn't there, but I heard it went great.
Fantastic.
And I'm not sure who the winners were, but.
That was the Map Investments team.
The Health and Wellness Committee had their 5K on May 25th. They had approximately 75 runners. Tennis had their workday on June 8th and had a good turnout, got everything done. And I've got a couple of funds requests. For the golf committee, out of their funds, request to pay specialty printing $295.63 for the member guest banner.
A second? Linda Londa, your seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes.
Also, I'd like to make a motion on behalf of the golf committee, out of their funds, to pay Eagle Golf Carts $530 for golf carts they brought in for the member guest.
Second. Dwayne, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And a motion to pay Iron Ponies Motorsports out of the Health and Wellness Committee funds for T-shirts that they supplied for the 5K run for $575.
Second.
Linda seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And one more, I'd like to make a motion for the Health and Wellness Committee to pay Wayne Custer, structural engineer, $375 for looking at the fitness center.
$375 for Wayne. Do I have a second?
Second.
Linda seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's it. Thank you.
Long Range Planning Committee comes up later.
Okay. Sounds good. David?
Social Committee wants to thank everybody for their donations for the auction, as well as all the people who bought things for the auction. I think we came close to $4,000.
Good deal.
So that was good. And the concert was excellent. Thankfully for anybody that missed it, we're going to have them again, I think. So make sure you show up. I've got some fun requests from Social. Eric, you don't need to write them down because I'm just going to give you this one. So Social would like approval for $3,750 for the Conspiracy Band, Word of Mouth Jazz Band, $1,000, Taylor Rental, $448.35 for tables and chairs, Specialty Printing and Processing, $59.13 for a banner, for a total of $5,257.48.
There's plenty of money in the account, Tom?
Yep.
Okay. Second. Greg seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That's it. All right.
Before you leave that, did Jim Sick please come to you to request additional funds for the skid steer?
I read the email chain, and in the email chain, I think, if I remember correctly, there was some information about using additional amenity funds.
Yeah, the overrun fund, he can do that for.
Right. So I haven't heard any more since then.
I thought we wanted to use committee funds for the rest of it.
Well, initially, yes, but then the fund amount, the requested amount changed because there was an additional cost to the rental.
Right.
And
He miscalculated the delivery cost.
correct.
Yeah.
And then that's when the email back and forth.
I suggested that, but I thought he decided to use committee.
Yeah, that's what I thought was coming, but we can
Yeah.
we'll get to them and get it deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarification.
Yeah. Very good. Anything further from committees? Let's move on to open forum, please. Just email him. Alrighty, we have the first person on the list who would wish to speak during open forum is Todd Cahill.
Hi.
Hi, Todd.
I just want to voice my opposition to turning the property adjoining the swamp over to the state. I think it's, on principle alone, I mean, I never think it's a good idea to have private property taken over by the state or by the government anymore. So that's principle. Fiscally, I think it's a bad idea because the state can't pay assessments. The state won't pay anything for the property. It's a gift. And I probably ticked some people off when I originally said this, but I didn't like the swamp going to the state either. For the simple reason that it's deemed wetlands, which is pretty much the most protected kind of land you can have. And our lake drains into that and through it. So if we have an issue, pH balance goes off or something on our lake, then we have a problem. So that's why I oppose that. But this, that's a very valuable piece of commercial property. And I don't have any vested interest in this. In fact, I have other properties that are the same kind of commercial properties, a couple of which I like to sell. So I don't like the idea of giving this away because we're giving it away and the state will have more control. And also, we won't get a penny of assessment money out of it. If we sell it to a private individual, I think we all know the house is a loss anyway. It's probably gonna have to be bulldozed. But it's ideal for, real estate company, it's ideal for, builders, because it's the entrance to Hideaway Hills. And, that could be assessment money for many years to come. So that's my take on it. You probably wish I'd just shut up for a while.
No, the question's well taken. There's a couple of things. Number one, the property itself is not, where the swamp house is not assessment bearing, because it's outside of the footprint of the Hideaway Hills.
But it is an outlaw of Hideaway Hills.
No, there's two parcels. There's two parcels. Yeah. And then the other thing is we didn't ever own that property. The only reason we're holding it is that Frank gave it to us with the express intent that he wanted us to donate this to ODNR. He had conversations with
Okay, well, he's already made a commitment then.
That was the basis of it.
I can understand that, but
Yeah.
I do, think it's a shame that we're.
Yeah.
There's a third factor. The corner of the house is on ODNR property.
Yeah.
So we have to,
That was our mistake to begin with.
well, the house.
Well, Hylas or.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Wasn't there something about a restriction on the rest of that property that couldn't be built on?
I don't know.
There was
So
too low in the floodplain or
if
something.
it's just that little corner that joins the swamp, does Frank still own the rest of it?
Frank gave us everything,
Okay, so we own.
except for the property on Alpine.
So we own the rest of the outline.
We only live lot, yeah.
Okay. So what are we gonna do that? Not,
The agreement
I'm
leases
sure the
that,
project-
leases it to ODNR, they manage it, and their plan is to,
so they get the bigger footprint.
they get the bigger footprint, their plan is to
That,
develop it, wreck the house, develop it for,
a welcome center and all that.
no, that'll never happen. I'm sure you'll get decks and that to view the swamp and information about swamp ecology.
Okay, well, that was my concern, and I'd like to see us get something out of that. You know, and you give it to the state, you have to give it, because they can't buy it and they can't pay assessments.
Thank you. David Frederick.
Hello. Hi. I'm here to talk about my road again. I was here in April, lots 274, 75, and 76 Kiowa Lane. Nothing has happened. I haven't even gotten a phone call or an email about the situation at all. I'd like to open the dialogue again. I believe some of the things that were put on record in April may be incorrect, since I've done a little bit of homework since then, and I'd like to change, talk about that again. Here I don't have very many copies, but I've got a few copies I can pass out. This is,
We'll share that around.
Yep. These are aerial views from above. I believe last time we spoke, we were talking about fixing the road. We also talked about possibly, I was wanting to combine a lot potentially. If you look, these are aerial views. In April, what was on the record is that if we bought the back 40, we would be able to connect over to either Area 54 or the organic gardens. If you look at these, you'll see on the first page, Kiowa Lane, which is my lot, and all three of those lots that I own on the street, backing up to the 40 acres. You go to the second page, you'll see the highlighted section. That is the true and only in and out currently for the 40 acres that is owned back there. So it does not connect over to Hideaway Hills. Hideaway Hills would also have to purchase a lot on Durbin Road in order to, which has houses on it all the way down, by the way, in order to connect over to those areas. And the way we left it last time was we thought that we would be able to connect the road through. So that's not possible. So with that new data, would you guys reconsider allowing me to connect my third lot? I'll take the responsibility of the road and abandon it from the flat. That's what I'm asking.
We were gonna allow that anyway.
No, you weren't.
If you wanted to have the road abandoned.
No, you guys.
We said we didn't want to abandon the road.
Right, because at that point, it was stated that month that we would be able to connect my road through to the other side of the club,
Yeah.
which clearly is not the case.
I'm confused too.
Here, let me show you. Yeah, see, they only show you, so this is the 40 acres here.
That's Area 54.
No, that's the 40 acres. This is Durbin Road. This is the only way in and out of that 40 acres. This is Durbin Road. It does come out on the north side of Durbin Road. This is Kiowa Lane, so that's my lot, and my lot here, okay? Going this way. This is the highway acres. Right. Highway Hills. You would have to purchase one of these two lots here, which have houses on it. These are the lots, but this is here, they cannot connect here. The only way out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess I thought that what we were talking about was if we ever got in a position to purchase this property, we could use the pure road to get to this property, not necessarily to get all the way over here.
Discussion was, the discussion on record was you would be able to connect to the other side. That's what was stated. Right.
Just to remove that house.
I thought we just don't like giving away stuff we have, but agree to maintain the road.
Yeah, nothing's been done with that.
I have, Rick, yeah.
We did agree to maintain the road, right?
Yeah, that's what I recall.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, that's my recollection.
Because we weren't gonna let the gentleman join the three lots, right, because they weren't all
Right, I'm paying a third assessment on that third lot, I'm also paying extra in road fees, which I'm fine with if things are maintained correctly.
Well, I had a discussion with, our maintenance crew, because Dave and I had a conversation that it appears that it's the utility company that is tearing up the road because they have to use his driveway in order to get back to their easement. So the thought was just to go ahead and cut the road right on straight through to the easement so that they would not use his road anymore. And that's pretty much what we were going to do, except for
And
weathers.
that's only one issue. There's
Okay.
another issue with that incomplete road, because probably about 40% of that road exists. And that would be generous in saying that 40% of that road is there. It's not really a road. But what is there funnels water directly to our foundation.
Yeah.
Daily.
I sent you those, I sent time-lapse videos to Randy that weekend on Sunday. It did not rain in Highway Hills on Sunday. It rained heavily after the concert throughout the evening that night and into the wee morning. But I sent a video at around, about a minute video at 11:30 in the morning, sent another one at 2:30 in the afternoon, and another one at 7:30. There's a straight stream coming down the road into my property, flooding my property out, which has caused that place to become a complete swamp down there.
You sent that video to me?
I sent 3 videos to you on Sunday.
Oh, I didn't receive that.
Yeah, well, I can show you the sent emails I have.
Okay, no, I didn't receive that.
Well, if the files were large, they may not have gone through.
Is there a restriction? A size restriction?
Sure.
Yeah.
Everything there is an email, that's why there's a lot of
What's the
times you upload it to like a share site. And do it that way.
Okay.
A Google Drive or something. So what our options are, we keep the road and maintain it for them,
It's not a road.
or we give it up to allow everything to be put together.
Combined, and then I would take the responsibility of that property.
And you own all the lots around it.
I own all the lots on the road.
So then you would be dealing with South Central and getting to their easement and so forth then?
At that point, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because the road was never put in correctly, they're causing damage to the property. The way that the water runs down that road, due to the neglect that the club has taken, it's damaging my property. So I don't want to put the money into repairing my property if water's just going to keep flooding and the utility company can come down here. But if I can combine it and I can save those assessment monies, that would allow me to budget yearly to maintain it.
She's not here, but your neighbor, Amanda Schuser, she said something about that the utility companies crossing her road as well. Are you aware of anything about?
She doesn't have a road.
She doesn't have
Her driveway, and I didn't know if there was any, okay, never mind.
I don't know that we can combine those lots, that we have the authority. I'm trying to think this out. But that is, it is in the code of regulations that you have to be 3 conjoined lots. I don't know if we have the authority to do that unless we throw in the road to make them conjoined. Now, I'm just throwing this out here for somebody to think about, because I don't want us to do something that we really can't do. There's a code of regulations that state that you can, one assessment for 3 conjoined lots.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, that road there is not conjoined.
It's not a road.
However, it's a separate.
It's not a road, and it's not completed.
Is it platted?
And most of the property, most of the 2 back lots are actually physically conjoined by woods.
No doubt, but I agree with you, it's on there, but it might not be there as a road. I know what you're saying, yeah.
But we've had other issues with a platted road. I'm trying to remember what it's all about. Have we ever abandoned a platted road?
No, I went through this with the county and said that, and I've talked to David about that.
Yeah.
And that the county will abandon that road. It is a platted road per the county. And they will abandon that. They charge $1,500 to do that. And we said that we weren't going to take on that fee. Now, David had mentioned that he would do that. If indeed the county will abandon that road, then he could join this lot.
So are you saying the county owns the road once it gets outside of Highway Hill, the road?
No, I'm talking about, since it is a platted road, even though it's a private road, the county has it as a platted road.
And then if we were to abandon the road,
If it was to be abandoned, then yes, he could join that property.
he could have his lot replatted, so that would be part of the lot, then the lots would be conjoined.
Yes, would be conjoined.
Be considered a driveway at that point?
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be driveway, it could be whatever you wanted, it should be part of his property.
I'd say it looks like a driveway.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a road, you're right, I've been on it. It's a mud hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point we made before is that if we were looking into expanding Hideaway Hills and the property behind it, if we abandon it, then preclude us from using that as an access.
Correct.
That was our discussion when we voted on this, 3 months ago?
Yeah, there you go, yes.
And now with his new information, though,
Not very likely to
It's not-
happen.
yeah.
I mean, at that point, we thought we were, at that point, it was on record that we would be able to connect through to Area 54 of the gardens, which obviously isn't the case. I mean, you're gonna end up having to pay a premium for someone's house once they know what's going on.
All right. I would like to make sure that we, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, I'm not making a motion. I think you've made a very reasonable case, and I'd like to make sure we go to our attorney and make sure that, like Jim indicated, to know exactly what we can and cannot do, and get that advice, and then we'll take this back up with you at that point.
As long as we have a due date.
Yeah, do we have a timeline on this?
Committed.
We'll get to him. I mean, we'll talk to him this week.
actually, he's on vacation.
Just on vacation, yeah, next week then.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you. We will, by next month, we'll get back with you.
Can you give me a date?
Well, we meet once a month.
Okay, so the next monthly thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can be much more forward. Yes, we'll be meeting again in July, and so we will have this kind of a conversation with you.
Have it on the agenda.
Yep, we'll put it back on the agenda.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question, is there, looking at the pros and cons, is there a con to Hideaway Hills if we do have this road conjoined?
We lose $56 a month. Yeah, that's the extra assessment, right? And
Anything else? So access isn't an issue.
Well, access to Area 54 would be an issue, access to this property directly behind them, if we were to ever purchase that, might be an issue. Is there another access to that property from Hideaway Hills?
That one little sliver up on Durbin, one that's highlighted on the second page. There's already a gate on Durbin, and there's a gate out the backside over here, so we, it's pretty much.
Are you talking about the street, that's the,
That's
the
This
area.
is 38. This is where we're at here.
This is our access right now.
Yes, you wanna buy it? That's it. That's our access.
So
You would be able to get out there, and that's it.
this line.
But you wouldn't be able to get across here.
If we get this one down here. This is where we're at.
This is the bottom of this.
All right. Yes, that's the road in question right now. That's the only access you have. We talked about last time, that we would be able to connect over to
This is area.
houses.
Okay.
You could not go.
All right. Very good. Thank you, we will follow up, and we'll get back
One
with
more
you
quick
folks.
question, up quick.
Okay.
House is here yours, or either way, yours, mine, those are yours, okay.
This one are my lots.
So this lot would allow us to get this 40 acres, that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Okay,
but it's pretty much landlocked.
yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We will get back with you.
I think that's the end of open forum. Joe Waves is on here, he said he wants to speak, but I don't see Joe.
Joe was, terrible.
Here's Joe. Yes, indeed. All right, any unfinished business? We're back into the regular meeting. Any unfinished business topics that people wish to bring up? Jim, do we want to take your motion for that?
If you want to.
Yeah, let's do that right now, that's fine.
Okay. Somebody carried it. You got it there.
I do. I can read it for you all.
I don't know what happened, but I'll read his. Measure came last month, the, public docks allowing, well, they said just, no, paddle boats and canoes in there. And so, we've got to make a rule to do it. I put this together, and we talked about it in the latest meeting, what we could do and all, and it got into quite a discussion. And I thought, wait a minute, why don't we make it simple? Effective March 1, 2020, only pontoon boats, speedboats, and wave runners will be assigned dock space in the public docks. There will be no exceptions without prior approval from the Board of Trustees. That's the second book we put in there, and as Sue said, she thought it was a real good idea, because we never know what's going to happen. One time there was a couple of speedboats in a catamaran. Well, there's none now, but there may be. So she asked if we put it in there. I ran it by the Lakes Committee, they say it's fine. I ran it by the Constitution Committee, they say it's fine. So now, all we gotta do is approve the rule. And so I guess I need somebody to make a motion, let you have some questions.
So I can make a motion and have questions. Yep. Larry makes the motion, second?
I'll second it.
Scott seconds. Any further discussion on this rule?
Yes. Is wave runner, is that a general term? I mean, I know what a wave runner is. But
It's a general term for a sit down.
It's not a personal watercraft?
It's a personal watercraft, and that's the generic term for a personal watercraft. Now, we were gonna take those out, but the Waste Committee said that they didn't see a big problem with having them there.
Well, I guess that's my only thought is that, do we want to call them personal watercraft instead of wave runners? Because wave runners can be a personal watercraft.
Yeah, the only thing you can do is be motorized personal watercraft.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know that you can do that. That's the kind of discussion we got into.
Canoes with motors on them.
Yeah, this way, if you got a wave runner, you can put it in there. If you got a canoe with a wave runner motor on it, you can't put it in there.
That should come to the Board of Trustees for approval.
For approval.
Is there a big backlog of people trying to get pontoon boats and stuff?
Yes, it's getting bigger every year.
Then why would we be giving space to wave runners?
It's a watercraft, it needs to be docked.
Your pontoon boat's no more important than someone else's jet ski, but canoes and kayaks can be put in racks that we built specifically for them. You can't put a wave runner in a rack.
Right. Aren't they heavy? You would have to cart them, trailer.
Yeah, trailer, yeah, I mean, they're.
Are we gonna build more racks for the canoes then?
You can do that.
Probably could.
That's the question, you go right over to that corner.
So Scott just said it, he called them jet skis.
Jet ski is a stand-up personal watercraft.
Okay.
They are not allowed at all on the.
I was certainly throwing this out just to make sure.
No, I kept saying, I didn't mean
Yeah,
it.
there aren't many jet skis around even anymore.
It's another thing that people call jet skis, but they're basically
wave runners.
Right.
Jet ski was the old term when they first came out.
When they stood up, they're stand-up. Yeah.
And we've got those banned already.
Yeah, I think there's one left.
Grandfathered in.
How about deck boats?
That would be a speedboat. Well, yeah, that was classed as a speedboat.
Yeah, I knew that, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I see what you told me there for a minute, Randy. I had to think.
Don't look at me like that.
Well, with a jet water.
speed over to that one.
All right, do we have any further questions, discussion? Have you gotten any response from the email that we sent out couple weeks ago saying this is what we're gonna do?
Nope, not at all,
Okay, no pushback at all.
not at all.
Good deal. All right, there would be no further questions. To take a vote on to approve the rule as written, effective March 1, 2020, only pontoon boats, speed boats, and wave runners will be assigned dock space on the public docks. There will be no exceptions without prior approval from the Board of Trustees. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
You need to copy that and turn it in, Randy. Who's that go to? You got it? Okay.
All right. Approving the e-votes, the comedy portion of the meeting. Everything was 8-0, so we will read these with dispatch. Starting with May 24th, we have an e-vote to approve $17.75 from FFF funds to Kathy Clevenger for amount spent over the up to $2,000 for handouts celebrating our 100th brew. Also May 24, an e-vote to approve the attached tennis schedule. Pardon?
You said 2,000, I think you said 1,000.
I said up to 1,000.
Oh, I thought you said 2,000.
I'm sorry, if I did, it is, I amended to say up to 1,000. Thanks.
That's what they would have to do all over.
Oh, no. E-vote to approve the attached tennis schedule for 2019. An e-vote to reimburse Dave Rowe out of tennis committee funds for crack sealer and zip ties. E-vote to pay Seymour Construction $200 from garden committee funds for supplies to put a metal room on the greenhouse. An e-vote to approve $186.44 from golf committee funds to reimburse the hot clubhouse for the cost of food and drinks after the golf workday. An e-vote to approve a cornhole tournament by the Health and Wellness Committee as a fundraiser at 11 a.m. on July 6, 2019 at the Shelter House. An e-vote to approve a tie-dye event on June 15 from 2 to 5 in the Great Room, sponsored by AFY, Activities for Youth for Kids Under 12. An e-vote to accept Paul Heinberger's resignation from the Management Committee. Moving along to the next page, starting now with June 5. E-vote to approve $59.13 to specialty printing from Central Committee funds for a banner. 6.6, an e-vote to pay Don't Panic Productions $2,262.80 from Social Committee funds for the June 15 concert. June 10, an e-vote to reimburse Nancy McCoy $28.65 and Robin Fernie $61.92 from Chapel Committee funds for supplies. 611, e-vote to pay $875 from the Chapel Committee funds to speakers and musicians for July. On June 11th, e-vote to approve ORV Committee changing the work party date from Saturday 6/22 to Saturday 6/29, June 29. On the 12th of June, an e-vote to allow the ORV Committee to use $300 of its amenity funds to rent a skid steer for track repairs. The money was targeted for banners, signs, etc. Also to approve up to $100 from committee funds to cover the cost of delivery and tax on the skid steer. And the final one was June 13th, an e-vote to reimburse Lynette Kilbarger for the Dan Jam t-shirts from AFY committee funds, $1,051.50. All of these votes were 8-0. May I have a motion to accept these? Is there a second, Dennis? Linda first, Dennis second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Mr. President, I have two other fund requests.
Okay.
Do my read one of them.
Do them. Let's go.
I'd like to make a motion to pay Bauer and Sons out of the golf committee money $312.78 for meat for the member guests.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Scott seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I'd like to make a motion to pay Sherry McNamer $395.69 out of golf committee money for various supplies for the member guests.
Motion, do I have a second? Second. Scott again. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's go on. We have an appeal of a ruling by the Architectural Control Committee. Are you the appealer?
I am.
All right. Please come up to the microphone.
Do I need to speak?
You don't have to.
Oh.
I have routed your appeal, letter to everyone here in the.
I figured it would be easier to put everything in writing so that I didn't forget anything and everybody could have all the background and know what I was asking, so.
Right.
I didn't bring any pictures. I was gonna take some pictures because at this point, my house is not visible from the other side of the lake or from the curb on Taos. The only place it's visible from is right there in front of my house. So, with the leaves and everything, it doesn't seem to be an issue, although that was brought up by one of the members of the architectural committee at some point. In the middle of winter, I guess maybe it might be more visible from the other side of the lake.
It would be, but everything is, because similar, right? Everything gets covered up in the summer. Well, everybody's has had a chance to read the question. I guess the one point that sort of, the time frame, you bought the house and you had issues and you wanted to look immediately.
Well, my insurance company wouldn't insure the house unless I put a new roof on within 60 days of closing. Closed on the house on October 1st, so that made it December 1st, which obviously horrible time of year to be putting on a new roof anyway, but that was part of the issue. Plus, there was obviously some rodent issues that needed to be taken care of before I actually physically moved into the house. So they got started before the 1st of December and did the top part, over the top garage, and then couldn't finish the rest of it until spring. And obviously ignorant of all the rules and regulations and everything that I should have known about, went ahead, picked a color, picked a company, didn't know that I needed to have permission and provide a sample and go through all of that. So in retrospect, as I said, when I found out in December that this was not obviously going to be, I can't remember what the word they said, but an approved color. At that point, they gave me two options, which were to rip it off and start over, or to paint it. And at that point, I had purchased it. It wasn't going back $26,000 later, So I went ahead and finished it, figuring that, at some point we would decide what we were going to do. I had told them at one point that if I had no other options, that I would consider painting it until I found out that I could appeal. Spoke to all my neighbors, everybody around me. Nobody seems to have an issue, as long as they're telling me the truth, how people are sometimes they.
Sure.
That's where I am. So I had put in a request to change the color, which was going to give me 6 months to decide what to do, at which point I decided that I found out that I could appeal to the board.
Can you tell us what the cost would be to paint the roof?
At this point, I am not sure, but I think it's upwards of about $6,000 or $7,000.
And then you have to maintain it too.
And then you have to maintain it.
We had another person that had a roof that they tried to paint that was new, very similar, and the paint.
Because of that color?
No, it wasn't because, it was because they decided to change it, but it was blue roof as well.
No, I mean, but because of the
Yeah.
Coating, whatever's on them, the painter ended up having to give the money back because the paint did not stay, and he ended up having to take it all off and redoing it.
I spoke to Ron Richardson, who I had picked to do some work on my house in Bexley before I moved out here. And he said that it was difficult, it could be done, it would probably need to be obviously maintained. And I don't know how often, but I did speak to the person who had the same kind of roof issue and said that the paint just didn't stick. So,
Randy, has anybody called you and complained?
Oh, I've heard a lot of things. I mean, obviously, you put me on the spot, I don't know who it was, but I have had several people call and say, what are you gonna do about the wood roof? Yeah.
How much, now, you said that you had the garage was done in December, and then you finished and you did the house.
No, it was the main part of the roof is done, and then there's like a back part that's lower.
So most of it was.
Most of it was complete.
well, what happened was first off, when you do a metal roof, they have to come and measure, and then everything is done to measure. So all of that was sitting in my driveway for the longest time. They were able to finish the very top part, which was obviously where the rodent activity was getting in. They didn't get around to finishing, because I have 2 or 3 levels, so I've got a rounded part on the side by my screen porch, and another side on the other side of the house. There are 3 or 4 different levels of roofing on this house. But it all had to be purchased at the beginning, so it was all bought and paid for. So even though they had only done the top part, there really was no question of essentially ripping it out and starting over, unless it was going to cost me another $26,000. So that's where I was. So I went ahead and finished it because the stuff was sitting in my driveway and needed to be put on the roof. I've had lots of people say, hey, I like the blue roof. What's up with the blue roof? I haven't had people say, what are you going to do about the blue roof? So, I was going to say, Joe, my neighbor right across from me, and most of the people that live near me haven't really had an issue. So
an issue is it's got to be, it was supposed to be an earth tone, correct?
And I felt like blue was an earth tone. It's called ocean blue. It's like,
Okay.
but that was my thought.
I think it's kind of arbitrary, the colors that they're deciding are earth tones. I mean, they've approved bright red, copper, bright green,
Black house on the lake.
there's one that Kevin Fleming's is basically like a mirror for all practical purposes. It's silver. It's real sharp. I mean,
And it doesn't blend in very well at all. So
I've seen your roof, and I've also seen right across the lake, there's a bright red one.
yes. And then when I was looking out across the lake and I saw the bright red one, there's also a bright green one right up near the house that you're working on. And obviously I saw the blue house and there's a blue boathouse and a couple other blue things, so I didn't really think it was an issue. But I obviously was, as I said, ignorance is no excuse, but not knowing the rules and regulations and being new here, I didn't really know that I needed to go through all of this and wasn't really informed of this when I closed on the house, even though everybody knew I needed to put a new roof on. So,
In all fairness, the blue house was approved. You're talking about there at Eagle, or at
yeah.
Dickey Lake, or but it was that blue was approved.
Is it close to that color? I haven't seen the roof, I'm sorry.
It's brighter.
You drive by it all the time when you're on the lake.
It's close to the color here on the.
It's really hard to see from the lake though.
I know
it is, yeah. It's really hard to see.
It's a bit brighter than.
it's not as bright as the bright red one that I did across the lake from her. That was approved by the ACC.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of approved for red roofs and a mill finish roof and a copper roof that all approved.
Maybe we should look at the architectural code and be more specific if that's what we think we need to do.
Or less specific, if that's what we think we need to do.
Yeah.
Well, one of my comments in my letter was that I received my book, my new member guide. I hadn't moved in yet, and didn't even really get a chance to kind of go through all of that before. And if you go through it, at the very back of the book, there's like one little paragraph in it that says that this needs to, go before the committee, needs to be approved, needs to get a permit, all of those things, which was not really laid out very well, in my opinion, but that's, you know, you guys have been doing this for a lot longer than I've been here, so.
Well, you gotta have something, or we wind up with soda.
No,
You know, somebody, I remember one time somebody turned in one, they wanted to build a solar house, for God's sakes. In an igloo, in an
You should
igloo.
approve that too. You should approve that too. It's their business what they put on their property, Jim.
And you did sign the statement that said you know you have to abide by the rules.
I'm not sure there was a statement that said that.
Yes.
When you sign,
Oh, the new member?
yeah, your application for membership says something.
I must have.
I think if we allow red roofs, we should allow blue roofs. I think we need to be more specific about what.
I'm not, yes, you're right, I'm just basically playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
What are you gonna do about that house that, across the lake that was blue, and they had to paint their whole house?
Where is this?
Across the lake, I don't know the name of the road, but it's over there. You go way down in the valley. It was a blue house, and, same as your roof, they couldn't see it.
Or the one on the top of that he replaced the roof.
And he only did it because he didn't, nobody made him replace it. That's the one I said that they tried to paint and it peeled off. That's
They-
still
they-
where it is.
they were- Somebody was complaining to him, I thought it was ACC.
No.
Like,
ACC approved that color. I built that house. ACC approved that color. I brought the chips in.
You talk about Bill's house?
Yeah.
He had a blue on the house itself.
And the roof. And he decided to change both colors. I tried to talk him out of the blue when I built it, but it was approved. That's what I'm saying, it's arbitrary. I tried to tell them that back when they came up with all these color rules, that they shouldn't get involved in that. And that's where we want to be. We'll have an ACC, Rick, from committee to committee, arbitrary decisions on what color people's houses should and should not be. And this is what you're tasked with.
That's what they're
Right, that's what originally the ACC wasn't tasked with, that's what we've developed it to over the years.
Well, the
There was
rules,
no color rules when I first was a member here.
the rule states earth tone.
But that's hard to say what that is now. If you go to some neighborhoods like in Powell where they have deed restriction, they'll give specific colors that you have to abide by, not just earth tones.
Yeah, if you wanna hand out color chips when somebody buys a house, that's fine, but we're not doing that right now.
Like Eric says, bright red is okay, but blue is not okay, and copper is okay, but blue's not okay.
And so painting a house is a lot different in price than having to put a whole new roof on.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So, I feel for you that the cost involved in this. And I think you guys all can tell, I don't have a problem with their blue roof.
I don't either.
I think we need to amend the ACC code so that we are either more specific or more general, something. But I'm in favor of not requiring this woman to tear the roof off.
You've got till August 1st on your permit?
I think it's October 1st. actually.
October 1st. So you got
Roof
plenty of-
permits, there's no price or money, right? So you could just get a permit.
It's just a 6 month.
You just, but that just stops you from having to pay a fine, the $100 a month assessment of the fine, as long as you have that permit in force. So if we take a little bit of time to figure this out, it's not going to affect you.
No, not
There's no fines right now.
Not until.
Right, so I think that
It's been hanging over our head for a long time, though, like, when we get the feel, well, I don't see any reason that it shouldn't have to be pulled off. And what are we gonna discuss or think about?
before I came on the board, I was on the ACC, and I experienced an incredible amount of frustration there.
I was on the AC as well.
Right, so I think for a lot of the same reason, that my frustration was that there are no real rules. It's just that people say, here's the chip that we would like to paint, and everybody goes, oh, yes or no. And I've never seen any chip that anybody's ever said no to.
And I bet if she would have came with her chip to the meeting, it would have been approved.
That's my feeling. That's my feeling. But because she didn't, I don't want to say this because it's not fair to the Architectural Control Committee, but that was my frustration.
I still think we need to have something, so somebody doesn't paint a house purple next to you.
I didn't want to get into all that argument, but I believe if somebody wants to paint their house purple, they should be able to.
Scott, I was on the water in Cape Cod, and neighbor got pissed at his neighbor, and he painted his house violet.
I had two of them across the street from my house in Bremen. Yeah, I know. Let's just hope our neighbors don't do that, but I believe in property owners' rights, and I it's not what the rules are now. I'm just arguing it now because I don't think we need to go that far, that we've already approved so many other colors. I feel that if she would have went through the proper channels, it would have got approved, because so many of these other colors have.
And one aside, for the realtors who sell in here, hopefully we can have them talk more to their buyers about, hey, you know, there are certain things like the
But if it's not Hideaway Hill Realtor, they don't know.
Yeah, they don't. Most realtors don't know anything about that.
But for the ones who do, anyway,
Yeah.
you know.
I hear what you're saying, Dennis, especially the fact that you think it probably would have been approved, so I'll make the motion to allow the exception and then get ACC to stop and think what we're gonna do in the future, because I'm with, whoever, Tom, I don't wanna see that violent house, and there's an example of improvement, and people do crazy things
I
like
think
that.
what our exception is gonna be from the fact that she was in an emergency situation and just bought the property, and that's why she didn't go through the process. I think if we continue the process of saying, you know, here's the chip, yes or no, you know, we can live with that for a while. I think what we've got here is a situation where she didn't have the opportunity to do that, and I think she may be paying a price.
Well, I'm making the motion to allow the exception here.
I'll second that.
Seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving the appeal that has been submitted this evening, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The appeal passes unanimously. You're welcome. I do think that Linda's point is well taken, and we need to have, and Dennis's, let's have some further discussion with ACC, because if I'm on ACC right now, I'm probably going, you know, you ask me to make decisions, and then I make a decision, and then I change it, and that's, you know, I mean,
That's what it is.
And that's the balance of power, the appeal.
I'm not unhappy with this, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but I think we need to probably shore this up, and Dennis might be the right person to do that, given this.
Walking it out.
You just got volunteers.
All right, I'll do it.
This is not my first.
I paid $1,700 in fines on my roof, and now that color roof that I had was approved.
All right, on that note, let's go to Dennis and Ken, we got that.
Ken here? Okay.
He is.
All right, we've sent around the survey. It's a little bit long, it's 8 to 10 minutes it takes to fill it out online. I hope you've all looked at it, and I got a lot of good comments back. We really need to get this out, so our plan is that if it's approved today, it gets published tomorrow. It gets an email blast, it gets published, it gets put on the, in Facebook, it goes on the, on the website. There'll be a front page spot for it, or the 2 weeks that it's gonna be on. We highly recommend that the members of the board and the members of the management committee hit Facebook wherever you are and just tell people, you know, fill this thing out. Last year we had 344, last time, 5 years ago, 344 people replied. Now, Eric made a good point about, you know, why we don't have more comments. The problem is that if we have 400, 500, 600 people responding, this is a statistical survey. We don't have any real way to look at a lot of comments, so that's why they're kind of restricted. So what we'd like to do is the one that we've sent around for approval, we'd like you to approve this tonight, so tomorrow we can put it out there and get people to respond. We will have results in 14 days, we'll have statistical results and we'll send it out to everybody. There's specific things here about assessment planning, get people's input on it, what their attitude is toward, what's important and what's not important. It'll confirm or, at least support what Jim's done, the management committee's done with the lodge, so.
You even got snakes on there.
Well, yeah, you know what? We started talking to people and they're sitting there talking about their granddaughter got bit by a snake. They're seeing more snakes than they've ever seen before here.
We need St. Patrick.
So,
That's right.
we just need big words. We need big words. But anyway, the 3 questions about animal stuff, that is only for the long range planning committee, because Ken has got plans to go to ODNR and places like that and talk to people about managing like the deer population and stuff like that. So we just this is really a way for us to plant that into people's minds, that it's going to be happening. So when it happens, we can at least have some kind of notification that this has been planned in the future. So that's what I have. Ken, you have anything more you want to say?
I don't have anything more, just waiting on your approval. We can pull the trigger on it. And, it has a wealth of statistical analysis that is automatically generated, and Dennis, you're kind of coordinating that, and you'll make it available to the board management as soon as.
I'll make it available to everybody, because it's just going to be a link. You'll be able to click on it, you'll be able to look at it, and we'll be able to print it out and do everything, whatever else we want. It's really fortunate, it's a Google form, it's free, so it doesn't cost us anything to do this kind of stuff.
Is there a cutoff date?
Yeah, the cutoff date is the Friday before the 4th of July. Yeah. And that's on all the literature that's going out.
I think it'll be very illuminating, if you don't ask, you don't know. And the more you know, the better it is. And 300 people, that was a very significant number of the population last time. That's statistically.
You're gonna really have to push it because it asks for the name and lot number.
Well, everywhere we do that, we've placed that we have a privacy notice, we've explained why we need it. It has nothing to do, nobody will ever see it, not one of you will ever see who answered what. It's impossible.
Well, if we don't ask for that, people can fill it out multiple times.
That's the problem.
Now, they can fill this out twice.
There's twice per household. It's listed right there that they fill it when we request, every adult in the household fill it out.
I'm just saying, I said, talk it up.
Right.
We need people to fill it
We
out.
see somebody with 20 responses, then there's a little bit of a problem. But other than that, you guys will never see that. Nobody will ever see that except for me as the administrator. And I really don't see that except for as a statistic of the response. Okay?
So is that a motion?
Somebody else, can I make the motion? Somebody else make the motion?
Yeah.
All right, I motion that we accept this and we get started tomorrow.
Second from Linda. Had a good bit of discussion. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Tomorrow's the day.
Okay.
All right. All right. On to old business topics. This is not really old, but Eric, you want to tell us a little bit about the clubhouse Sunday liquor permit process?
Certainly. So last meeting, we approved an ad hoc committee to dig in and explore getting a petition together to get on the ballot in November to have Sunday liquor sales at the clubhouse. Jim started it. I kind of followed up with the Department of Elections. They gave us some information. We need 242 valid signatures. Those signatures need to come from people that are property owners and vote in Precinct 1 of Marion County.
Marion Township.
Thank you, Marion Township. Hopkins County, Marion Township, Precinct 1. And pull up the amount of voters that we've got here in Highway versus the county, and we actually have around the majority of the voters because of our population here in Precinct 1. We've got about 350 current registered voters in Highway in that particular area. So we've got petitions made up. We also have voter registration pieces, or voter registration forms available as well if you want to change your registration from someplace else to here, so that number one, you can sign for our petition, and secondly, then hopefully vote for the petition. So our goal is to gather 300 signatures total, so we've got more than what we should need. And it all has to be done by August 7th at 4 p.m. So hopefully we will be dropping them off well before that. And then they will, the Board of Elections will count them, approve it, and then we'll be on the ballot. So, any questions?
How many do you have now? Yeah.
Right now, we had a meeting today, we've got around 60, and for the most part, that's really been Jim and I, and Scott helped out a little bit, but we really launched today. We're gonna be moving forward. We now have, you can come down to the office during regular office hours. Randy and Penny are both, can be authorized petitioners for us, and so they'll be able to authorize your signature here at the office. And I also, with the carryout, they've agreed they will help us out and collect signatures for as well. In addition to that, at any community event that we've got going on, we've got clipboards that we'll be walking around, petitioning people, asking you to sign the petition. So again, if you live in the Fairfield side, unfortunately, you will not be able to help us in this case, other than to tell your neighbors on the Hocking side, vote for it. So, so it's going to be the Hocking County members of Hideaway are the ones that can help us to get this on the ballot.
Might start passing that right around this table, right?
That's where we're at.
All right. Clubhouse and lodge, you said, right?
Well, certainly, Jim's in the clubhouse.
I'll be there every night. After tomorrow, and then I'll be there pretty much for an hour or so with it.
So I think if maybe somebody's gonna be going and hanging out at the lodge for a few hours, then put it out on Facebook, hey, I'm gonna be out at the lodge, stop by and see me and you can give your signature. I think it's all about letting everybody know where they can sign.
We're also gonna do the Dam Jam.
At the Dam Jam, at the concerts,
Yeah.
yes.
Excellent. Good deal. And again, this just enables us, as you know, our current license only allows us to serve our own beers on Sundays, so this will enable us to have full service from 10 in the morning till...
We're requesting on the ballot from 10 a.m. until midnight on Sundays. So we'll have to expand the hours in the clubhouse on Sundays.
No problem.
Excellent.
And if it's successful, then we may think about doing it in the lodge going forward, but figure one hill at a time.
Well, that's when the Fairfield County people get to be involved.
Right. we don't have nearly as many people though in Fairfield.
We'll need everybody involved.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, at least they seem like they passed one in Bremen, so maybe it's not such a taboo issue these days.
Yeah, I expect it's not. All right, very good. Assessment increase, recap, and planning.
I talked about it earlier, there's really no recap other than it's gonna be on the ballot. The planning, meeting ad hoc committee, which one of the things we will determine at noon this Saturday, right here, is a name for the committee. Hopefully somebody can come up with something kind of catchy like the 66 2/3 was for the dam. Never know, we might just bring that one back up and use it again. I've got very good response from quite a few people that want to be on it. A couple that have taken the bull by the horns and actually sent me back some FAQ, stuff. If somebody asks this, how about we answer this way? Already putting some stuff together, so.
So we're gonna have a white paper type thing?
Yeah. And we're gonna be on, our webmaster's gonna make sure we're all over our Facebook site. We'll be on not Facebook, our webpage. We'll be on Facebook. We're going to plan at least 2 informational meetings upstairs. That'll be kind of difficult to do on a Sunday now that the upstairs is open on Sunday, but that's where it's normally been done. Last year's assessment was up there, and the dam assessment was also 2 or 3 meetings upstairs. And they had some non-formal meetings at the clubhouse, if I remember right, when it was for the dam assessment. So we'll probably do that. We will, because it worked, years ago or however long. We will also do the phoning, get a hold of everybody, try to get a hold of everybody by phone. So if your phone rings and it's a number you don't recognize, don't ignore it like you normally do.
You get a timeline on that? Phone call thing?
Before the vote in August.
And it is important, I mean, reaching out to getting some other people, because, I know people are tired of hearing me talk. Jim's probably approaching that fairly soon now too, but not quite so much. It's still your first year, but getting more people involved is good, because it just broadens the support.
We've got some pretty new members that want to be involved in, so. And Ginger Reed and a few that have quite a bit of experience. I emailed Ginger, and within 3 hours I got 2 or 3 emails back where she dug out her file from the 66 2/3. We need to do this, we need to do this. And at the last email, the bottom line said, and don't you even think about making me chair of the committee.
All right, well, you're gonna need everybody's help. The more of us pulling on the same more, the better it'll be. And again, stressing the 3-year implementation and what we can do with it is going to be what we can promise to people, but the differences that they'll see is going to be very important. All right, Greg, ODNR and the Swamp House donation.
First, as far as what I emailed all of you today, Randy's gone back to them twice now, based on what the attorney said. And initially, they had us paying for various costs, and we said no. And Randy talked to them, and they said, all right, now we don't have to pay any of the costs. And then Larry Parker wanted a quick claim deed rather than a warranty deed. I don't know the difference. Larry said, no, it's minor, but it's better for you. And they agreed to it. So the ODNR has been good in terms of agreeing to it. The only cost we will have, we're leasing the Outlot L. They're leasing Outlot L for 2 years. Excuse me, 25 years, thank you. With an ability to re-up again for a second 25 years. And that's ODNR's choice. We pay the property taxes on it, so it will cost us $95 a year. I checked, 93 something, 93.52 a year for the property tax. The portion we're giving them, Jim said it right. We got that. Frank Panacea gave it to us with the idea that we were going to pass it right on through. Legally, Frank has no recourse, I'll be honest. We wouldn't have to do it because of the way that deal was handled. But we also, this board voted approval to go ahead with the project, and ODNR is going to maintain it. I hear we got a lot more out of that. We got the Health and Wellness Center. Otherwise, so I think that I hear Todd, but I have to disagree. And so I would hope that I'll send the e-vote out Monday. I want to give you time. So if you got any questions about it, let me know. Especially if you want to read through it.
That lot that we're leasing, isn't that really small? It's really not.
It's 0.2 acres. Yeah.
It's really not even buildable, is it? I mean, by the time you get a septic system there.
No. The one we're giving is 0.25. I think the other one is
Might be a little bit bigger.
I think it's 1 point.
Pie shaped.
Yeah, it's pie shaped.
0.93.
For the Outlot L is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing they're going to build a road. Initially, they want us to put a road in. They're building a road, so a parking lot. So. Okay, that's all.
Okay. So if you have any further questions about it, feel free to send them forward to the rest of us, and Greg will get an e-vote, but we didn't want to rush it tonight since we just got the further confirmation here today.
25 years, we'll be probably talking about this, but after 25 years, is it their option or our option?
Their option.
But I think we can turn.
But in 50 years, we can say.
I'm not worried about it.
Who's going to remember?
Secretary gets a really damn we'll have it in the working on it.
We thought they were going to go 99-year lease, but they came up just 25.
All right, next, is that enough on that? Everybody? Lodge deck update. I finally have some idea. We're approaching closure.
Get up to the mic.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm just so exhausted by this thing. So we had a Last time I met, we had gotten a bid on the foundations, which completely blew the budget. And so we went back. We now have a person who has worked with us before and is doing some work in the hills these days, who's given us a bid to dig the holes, the 18 holes, for a total of $12,000. We have a bid for the construction, the carpentry, for $20,000. And I have a quote minus only one piece, which is the cable rails, for all of the materials for $27,000 from Carter Lumber. We've had a few changes on that. Those three numbers come to a total of $57,000. There's going to be a little bit more with the cable rail, and we need to do some contingency. I'm not ready to ask for a vote yet tonight on it because there's been some iteration between the contractors and the engineer that we're doing the markups on the plan, and I don't want to bring it forward until we have an approved stamped plan that we can then, we can go forward at that point. In terms of funds available, so we're at 57 plus whatever the cable rail is going to be, $6,000, $7,000 maybe. It's not a huge amount. Funds available. There are nearly $53,000 in the food fund and fellowship account. There are pledges of another $3,000 that will be added to that. So that's a total that's pretty close. It's 56 and a half, almost 57. There's $5,000 in amenities funds that are for the deck. So then that there totals 61,000, and we have another 15,000 in amenities fund. And again, this is amenities fund from a year and a half ago. There's another 15 for furniture on the deck. We have two families who've come forward to us and have indicated that if we have any issues in terms of buying more furniture, if we need to use some of the funds and others, either way, it doesn't matter. They're willing to listen to a further request from us. So those two pieces that I have right there that we've already talked about total $76,000 that we have available at this time, versus at this time $57,000 for the construction cost. With, again, there's going to be some increment, and we certainly need some contingency. The committee of Ruth Miller, Dave Lee, Dan Donovan, and Kathy Clevenger, with Jim serving as addition to it ex officio, has indicated that they will endorse this once we get the project finally approved. Again, all we're waiting now for is the markups. There were a few questions that the contractors had raised about connections and a little bit how the footings would work, and also in the rebar. So those are being accommodated as we speak. The biggest problem has been that our architect decided to get married and go on a honeymoon. So we've had a little slowdown in the project there. But he's back working on it, and so we should have those pieces. Once we have that, and once we have a signed plan, I will come back with the cable rail. I don't know if this is all committee money, so I'll run it by here. That makes perfect sense to me to do that and going forward. And my understanding is the people that are doing it have done work here in the hills for a number of years. It's Mark Trimman, Matt Woodrum, and Gig are the carpenters, and the excavation will be done by Matt Hobbs, who's worked with Woodrum and those guys quite a bit, and they're already informally working at this point. We've not signed any contracts with them or confirmed them, but based upon the recommendation of my committee, I've told them that we will hopefully be moving forward once the final pieces are in. So that's where we're at. They indicate they have bandwidth to start it, and we'll go from there just as soon as we can. So
when will we start, you mentioned?
Well, I gotta get let's not put the cart before the horse.
A month after we.
I hope so, Dennis.
After we approve it?
Yeah, I would hope that, I'd certainly get this summer. They know full well that we want this to be done as soon as it possibly can.
Is this something we can do in an e-vote?
I think so. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I think so. We've discussed it enough here that I would certainly approve that on an e-vote.
Yeah, I mean, I have both of the 12,000 and 20,000. Those are, basically bids from the two.
I like the fact that's what we're using people that are local here because they're going to be spurred on to get it done because you can't go anywhere in the hills when you're working for people in the hills. Without working on the project.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I was so glad, I was so worried. I mean, the bid that we had for the excavation for 18 holes was like $46,000. We just couldn't, we would not have been able to do that. So, but we've got, and this guy has done, you know, I've checked on him and he's done good work for us. So he's actually, I think management committee just hired him, or is going to hire him to do the project for us as well. I think he's Daisy Hill or something. He's downhill.
So we have 15,000 in amenity for furniture.
Correct.
And then 5,000 in amenity for
The deck.
the deck.
That was recommended by the social committee.
Okay, so we have it.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yep, and the 15, if we would need to use it up front for construction, and then again, we're already, Kathy and I have talked about how to go forward once we get all the final numbers to ask you. So, you know, sort of a quid pro quo. The 15 is sitting there in the amenities fund, whether these people will be willing to give us money quickly or whether we need a little more time. But,
okay.
And the $3,000 in pledges is me. So I know it's going to get paid. I didn't put
You know where to find them?
I do. You know,
And you know the bank they go to?
I do. And my wife said I can spend it, so it's all. Yes, indeed.
Don't make her mad.
No. All right. Believe me, I want to get this done so badly, and then we'll go from there. And again, with Ruth and Dave Lee, you know, Dave is working. I'm so glad to hear that he's working with health and wellness, because Dave is a very talented guy, and he's beginning to want to spend more time here at Idaho Hills. And he's somebody we can use because he's very good and very competent, and reasonable guy to work with. So he'll do a good job with them. That's it. Mr. Lapp, do we have any new members?
Mr. Credo, we do. I guess I want to start off, first we sold 3 club lots last month, if I throw that out there. I'd like to make a motion to accept the following new members. Francis and Jennifer Fullen, lots 446, 447, 448, and 449. Robert Pemberton, lots 1081 and 1082. Jonathan and Angela Mugler, lot 510. Mark and Lauren Thompson, lot 628 and 665. Sean Fineman, lot 676. And lastly, Todd and Marianne Bailey, lot 1028.
We have a motion to accept these new members. May I have a second? Dennis, I think I can go for you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We do have a little additional business that we probably ought to, it's not a true executive session, but we did it. It is, okay. All right, so, thank you all. I guess, we do a motion to adjourn to the session? Yeah, we're gonna do a motion. Okay, so Greg makes a motion, Dennis seconds, Linda seconds. At 9, all in favor of going to adjourn to executive session, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Let's do it.
It'll be short. Don't take a long break, people.
Hey, Tim.
No smoking, Jim.
I got plenty to do besides smoke.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bruce and then one.
I don't have it shut down yet.
Hang on one night, folks.
I just unplugged it.
That's fine, it's just got a battery in it.
Oh.
Where to go, Greg? Now somebody's in there.
Well, go upstairs. Use the minutes. Go outside. It's a bar. You can use the minutes if there's nobody else.
Still alive until I get this work.